Hello and welcome to Pet Pals, the show that features the animals of Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. I'm Sean Snyder, and with me is Tammy Benson, our weekly animal wrangler. And with Tammy is Harper. She'll be our first guest today, and she is a 1-year-old black lab mix, and she came to us as an owner give-up. Most people know that animals that are on the show come to us as strays, or people can no longer keep them for some reason. So Harper was given up because she was not getting along with a smaller dog in the house. And therefore, we're recommending that she seeks a home that has animals her size or bigger. So probably wouldn't do as well with cats, small dogs, or any type of livestock. But overall, I don't want that to discourage people because she is a great dog. She is what a lot of people look for in a family pet, and a lot of people have only one dog. Her previous owner commented that she was a jogging partner for them, that she would run up to 6 miles. And I guess I should say that she is probably not well suited for a family that maybe isn't active. Tammy also comes in and handles the dogs almost daily, and she expressed that Harper would make a great agility dog, that she learns really quickly. But being a year old, she needs something to keep her active and mentally stimulated. So all in all, Harper will make someone a great pet. It'll have to be the right family, though, that fits with her. So we encourage people that if you're interested in adopting a dog from us, if you already have a dog at your house, to come in and you can do a meet and greet with the shelter dog. And Harper's here at the shelter. She's been with us now about a month, and her previous family actually she's been with us since the beginning of October, and her previous family had adopted her from us, and they tried to make it work, but just the smaller dog, they couldn't seem to get along. So they decided best for their first dog, the smaller dog, to bring her back to us. So once again, her name is Harper. She's about a year old, and she's looking for a forever home. Our next guest is Lila. She is a 10-month-old pit bull mix, unspayed female at this point. As you probably remember, all animals that leave the shelter through adoption are spayed and neutered, microchipped. They have their routine vaccinations. The vets in the county are kind enough to offer our adopters a wellness visit at their office, and then you also receive the Frederick County dog license. Lila here is only 10 months old, and she's an older puppy, but she still has some puppy mannerisms. And with any young dog, consistency is important. And as I looked over her profile, I did notice that she has somewhat been bounced around from home to home. And a common theme we hear is it's not necessarily bad what people say, but the dogs bark a lot and they jump when they're in the kennel. And when people visit the shelter, they have to understand that dogs get excited in the kennel at the potential of maybe going out. But then also we receive a lot of young dogs like Lila that haven't really had any consistency in their life. And you can't really expect a dog to be well-mannered if the rules change every so often. So it looks like her previous owner said that they owned her for 2 months and they had got her from a friend. So we know at a minimum, Lila's already looking for her third home in her short 10 months, and it may be more than that. The previous owner did tell us while they had her for the 2 months that she lived with 2 other dogs, and that she seemed to get along with everybody. So they had children of all ages in the house, and she did well. So essentially with Lila, what we have is a little bit older puppy that is likely going to house train easy or already house trained, but still somewhat of a blank canvas that a potential adopter can make her the dog that they've always wanted. So, we encourage people to obviously provide dogs training. You don't necessarily have to do that formally. You can do it yourself, but young dogs do need some kind of physical and mental stimulation to keep them active, but also at times keep them out of trouble. So Lila's here on our adoption floor. She has been with us for almost 2 months, and during her time here, she started to exhibit some coughing, so we did treat her for that coughing, but that's all been remedied, and now she's ready for her next home. So if you're looking for a young project dog, Lila may be the perfect fit for your family. Little Lila is a senior Chihuahua looking for her next home. We have aged her at 8 to 9 years old, and we have her down as a Chihuahua mix. Now, she arrived at the shelter in early October as a stray, and she was picked up on Willowdale Drive. And since that time, no owner has come to reclaim her. And obviously, she's not a feral dog. She had a family at one point. So it always baffles people who work here why people don't come and get their pets from the shelter. And we haven't necessarily come up with a good answer, except maybe people feel that they'll be in trouble. We hope to think that it's because they don't want their pet anymore. We don't want to think that. But at times we get animals that are very well socialized, they're friendly, they have good manners, and they end up staying here at the shelter and going on our adoption floor and finding a new family. And Willowdale Drive in proximity to the shelter is very close. So we always encourage people, look for your lost pet at the shelter. And then obviously the viewers of this show can encourage friends, family members, co-workers that if their pet goes missing. So we depend on people to kind of spread that word to encourage people to come in here and look for their lost pet. So Lila is a little bit shy or timid, but in a new home, she will adapt and warm up. I feel that she wouldn't necessarily do well in a busy home. So if you had young kids, very active, she may not do as well there. But she would do fine in a mature home, a home that, likes to sit on the couch and watch TV. She prefers nothing more than just to curl up and sit in someone's lap. And, there's a lot of people out there that look for that kind of dog. And at 8 to 9 years old, she still has several good years ahead of her. Chihuahuas live 17, sometimes up to 20 years. So, this is a family member that someone's going to have quite a while, and she can provide a lot of love to them. Looking at her medical, we are recommending that she gets a dental done in the next 6 months, and that's common for smaller dogs or certain breeds to have poorer dental health. So she's not suffering from it by any means, but that is something that a potential adopter will have to take on at some point. Because she is a senior, we do recognize that seniors can be a little harder to adopt. So we'll discount her adoption fee by $20, and so someone can take her home for $72.50. Our next canine guest is Bubba. Bubba is an Irish setter mix, and he is 3 years old. Oftentimes people will wonder what the mix is, and now you can have your dog actually tested, as many of you know, through a DNA test. So here at the shelter, instead of trying to put 2, 3 breeds down, we just go with the predominant breed and then just list them as a mix. So while Bubba's been here, it looks like we brought him up to speed on his distemper vaccine, and we provide all dogs aboard a tele vaccine to help prevent kennel cough outbreak. We test dogs for heartworm, Lyme, auricula, and anaplasmosis, and Bubba did test negative for all those viruses. And before he leaves, he will be neutered, and he will also have a rabies vaccination, and that's standard procedure for all dogs that are here on our adoption floor. So Bubba was given up by his previous owner, and they had stated that they had an emergency move and that they couldn't take their pets with them. So Bubba did arrive with what we're presuming to be his sister. Her name is Baby Girl, and when things like that happen and the two dogs aren't together, people will ask, well, why aren't you keeping them together? Part of our process of processing dogs, that's when we move them to the adoption floor, includes assessing if they need emotionally the animal they came in with. And that can be dogs, it can be cats, it can be guinea pigs. And basically we assess whether two animals need to stay together. And if the answer is no, we will separate them. Now, if we think about humans, siblings most often do not live together for the rest of their lives. They do split up, and you know that they have separate lives. So often dogs do the same thing. So Bubba would likely do well with another dog, but we're not feeling that he needs to stay with Baby Girl, the dog that he arrived with. Looking at Bubba's profile, it does appear that he did live with 2 cats, so he would likely adapt well to another house that had cats. We always encourage cat owners to protect their cats from new dogs that come in, not necessarily from harm, but more from stress. And at times we can say harm, but sometimes cats can be stressed by a new dog that maybe would want to chase them or they're not familiar with. So it does say that Bubba may need some remedial house training. So obviously someone who adopts him will have to commit to doing that. It doesn't sound like he necessarily has accidents all the time, but that he does at times have an accident in the house. So, and that's something, just some consistency, some positive reinforcement. Being an adult dog, he should have no problem holding his bladder for the time that you're gone from your house, or to be able to signal you to go outside. So once again, his name's Bubba. He is a 3-year-old Irish setter mix waiting for his next home here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Our last dog is Oakley. He is a 6-year-old German Shepherd mix, and on his profile, they are assuming that he's mixed with Lab, but we just have him as a German Shepherd mix. He came to us, his owners did have to give him up, and basically it looks like they became somewhat homeless and didn't have a place that they could necessarily keep him. So he is already neutered. He's up to date on his vaccines. He tested negative for the viruses I had mentioned earlier. He likes his squeaky toys, and we are actually looking for a home that has German Shepherd experience. When we assessed Oakley, so that's part of our process here, is to assess dogs on our adoption floor, we found that he doesn't necessarily always take treats very easily, or if he has a toy, he can become very fixated on them, as you can see with the squeaky toy. So at times we look for people that have experience with breed, or we ask that kids in the house be of a certain age. And at times people don't understand that. But what we're trying to do is set Oakley up for success and not failure. The folks who work here are animal professionals, so when we go through that assessment, we see certain qualities that may not be well suited for certain types of houses. Now, German Shepherds in general can be very intent. They're known to patrol the house, and they can become somewhat fixated on objects and food and things like that. So that is why we are looking for a home that has German Shepherd experience, and then likely we're going to look for a home that has children over the age of 10 as well. So Oakley is going to make someone a great pet. It just, he has to fit into the right home. Now, sometimes people want to know how he does with other dogs or cats. It looks like he did live with another dog, but his previous owner said that some dogs he gets along with. So once again, a meet and greet would be perfect, or we encourage you to do a meet and greet if you already have a dog. And then because he fixates on things, he would likely not do well with cats, that he may want to chase them and maybe play with them a little bit too rough. So once again, Oakley's here looking for the right home, and we can help you determine maybe if your home's a good match for Oakley. And he's waiting at the shelter for his next family. That's a look at 5 of our adoptable dogs, and we have many more on our adoption floor. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at 5 cats that are available for adoption here at the shelter.
Do you know about the Nature Academy and the Museum Academy for ages 6 and under in Frederick County? At Nature Academy, you can explore the sounds, sights, and smells of nature at the Fountain Rock Park and Nature Center. At the Museum Academy at Rose Hill Manor, you'll have fun with numbers, colors, shapes, letters, and more. You will participate in crafts like painting and stamping, learn sign language in daily songs and play, and have a lot of fun understanding the history of where we live. New this fall is Little Hands Cooking, a cooking series that the little chefs are super excited about. They will be preparing recipes and learning culinary skills, nutrition, and literature. For information on how to register, please call 301-600-2936 or visit recreator.com. Come cook, explore, and craft with us.
Welcome back. Now we're going to take a look at 5 cats that are available for adoption on our floor here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Our first guest is Shero. Shero arrived at the shelter as a stray, and once again, no one came back in to claim her. She was found on Linfield Drive in early October, and since that time, we obviously gave her her name, and we've aged her at 1 to 2 years of age. She's a domestic medium hair, which simply means her hair is a little bit longer, and she's orange tabby in color. So most commonly, orange tabby cats are males, but we do see some females that come here and there. But so she is a little bit unique in that she's a girl. Since she's been here, we brought her up to speed on her vaccines, and we always look at their skin to make sure that they don't have any fleas or ticks or any of those kinds of things. We cleaned her ears out, and then we did notice that she had been spayed at some point. Now, what's interesting about Shero is she has been given the designation of blue color-coded, and that is not a color that we often give animals. So when animals are processed, they are given a color designation that equates to their temperament, their training if they're a dog, how social they are, things like that. And blue is used for the most calm, easygoing animals. So blue cats typically acclimate to new people, new situations fairly easy. They are more inclined to allow strangers to hold them. And as you can see, she just met Tammy this morning, and she's totally content sitting in Tammy's lap. Now, sometimes the complaints we hear about blue color-coded cats is they are always under my feet. So some people don't always want their cat always hovering around and being right there beside them. So blue color-coded cats do tend to hang out more, so you may need to be a little more careful where you step because they're right there with you. Often they're very social, and they tend to adapt to new situations easy, meaning that if you had other pets, they tend to get along fairly well, and they're laid-back animals. We still encourage always a slow introduction whenever you take a new cat home. It just allows them to settle in a little more easy. So we can see she's enjoying a good chin scratching, and she would also like to do this with her next family. Our next little girl is Pearl 2, and we'll just call her Pearl for this segment. Often in the summertime, coming into the fall, we have several animals with the same name. So for administrative purposes, we will add a number on the end, but Pearl suits her fine for this little segment. She arrived at the shelter by a person who cared for her after she was weaned from her mother. And the mother was a feral cat. So the Good Samaritan brought her, Pearl and her 2 siblings in here in about mid-October, and they're now on our adoption floor ready to find their next home. She is somewhere around 12 weeks or 3 months. You know, it's not an exact science, but she's somewhere around there. She's not quite of weight to be spayed yet, but here at the shelter, we do spay kittens around 3 pounds. And the vets that do spay neuter for us have been trained in pediatric spaying and neutering of feline. So, you know, it's something we're able to offer our adopters that they don't have to worry about it when they take their new pet home. They're already spayed or neutered, and it's not something they have to do down the road when they're a little bit older. So obviously kittens are kittens. You have to expect that this kitten is going to want to climb and jump and run around at 2 a.m. And you know, part of our process is what we call an interview. And the interview isn't necessarily prove to me you're good enough for Pearl, but hey, let's talk about what you need to know. And to be honest, some people come with a wealth of experience with cats or dogs or whatever they're adopting, where at times we get first-time adopters and they need much more education. So Pearl will need things to do, and she'll need appropriate things to scratch on. And here at the shelter, we don't advocate declawing, but rather we encourage you to do things to curb their scratching or give them appropriate things to scratch. So Pearl has a long life ahead of her, and she is just one of the many kittens that has come through the shelter this summer, fall of 2018. At times people say, well, you should adopt an adult. And yes, we advocate hard for the adults, but these kittens that are here, they need a home just like the adult. And every day we're searching for the next good home that can take them and keep them for the rest of their lives. Obviously, we look for lifetime commitment with our pets. We do understand things happen in people's lives, but at the same time, we're here to help people keep their pets if need be. So this is Pearl once again. She has 2 siblings that look almost identical to her, and if you're still in the market for a kitten, we probably have the one you're looking for. Our next cat guest is Allo. Allo is 4 to 5 years old. He's a domestic shorthair, and as you can see, he's black in color. At times, people will ask if we adopt black cats out around Halloween, and the answer is always yes. We go through a process essentially to adopt an animal to a person. So people typically can't come here the same day and get animals. So we do some background checking and look into people's previous pet ownership. So we feel confident in our process that if we adopt out a black cat around Halloween, that it's not going to be used for something that would be harmful to the cat. So yes, you can come to the shelter and adopt a black cat this time of year still. We often have black cats at the shelter. Just darker colored animals in general can be not harder to adopt, but people can't see them as well in the cages, and that can at times be because of shadows and things like that. So therefore, their facial expressions can't be read quite as easily. So I encourage you, if you visit the shelter, whether it's in our dog room or our cat room, make sure you're getting down low and seeing those animals in the lower cages and give them the opportunities like you would any other animal that's in the bright light or a lighter color, those kinds of things. So Allo is doing very well on Tammy's lap. He came to us because unfortunately his owner was hospitalized and she could no longer care for him. So he is one of those examples of a reason an animal is given up that, you know, we see why he was brought to us. At times people can no longer care for their pets. Their pet has no other option. So that is why we're here. We're here for the citizens of Frederick County. If you can no longer care for your domesticated animal, we are here to shelter them for you and adopt them to a new home. Just like I spoke about with some of the other animals, the same goes for stray animals. We're here to house those animals while they're temporarily homeless, and we'll take care of them, and we feed and vaccinate, and you know, although this is not a home, it is the closest thing they have to a home at that time, and our staff and our volunteers take great pride in taking care of the animals while they're here. So Allo, it says that that he gets along with other cats and dogs. Now, they didn't indicate that he lived with those animals, but at the same time, he is a fairly laid-back guy. He's confident. He's a big cat. So I think with slow introductions, he could likely get along with dogs and cats. Truth be told, in most cat-dog households, the cat set the tone by swatting the dog in the nose one time, and that's how the relationship's established. So he weighs in at 12 pounds, so if you like a big, beefier cat, he does fit that profile. So Allo here, he's waiting for his home. He's been with us since the 10th of October, so not terribly long, and he is in one of those bottom cages. So like I said, if you come in to visit with him or any cats, make sure you're peeking a little bit lower because you might find your next pet in one of those cages. Our next little kitten is Snickers. She's about 3 months old. She's a domestic shorthair, and her color is considered tortoiseshell. Tortoiseshell, many people know, just like calicos, are female cats. Now, very, very rare you can have a male, but most often calicos, tortoiseshell coloring cats are female cats. This little girl's with 2 of her other siblings, and they are both tortoiseshell as well, so all females in the group, and they were born on someone's property in Thurmont. So after they were weaned from their mother, they were brought in, and they actually were not quite old enough to be adopted, so they went into our foster care program. Our foster care program in the summer at times has over 100 cats and kittens in it. And I gotta say, without the people who step up and take these cats, kittens into their homes, we wouldn't be able to save as many lives as we do. So these folks are very important to the success of the shelter here. They raise cats, kittens in their home. They teach them the ropes of what a good cat is. They litter box train them. And a lot of times when cats and kittens come out of our foster care program, you can tell the difference between those kittens and ones that just came in and hadn't benefited from our foster care. Now, we do also foster dogs and other animals, but the lion's share of animals that are fostered are the cats and kittens through the summer. So little Snickers here, when she goes home, she will be spayed or neutered, or I'm sorry, she'll be spayed, she'll be microchipped, and she'll be looking for that next home. Like our other kitten guest, Pearl, she will be active and she will run around, and she does need a family to tell her what the rules are. Everybody's home is different, if she's allowed to be on the counters and where to scratch and those kinds of things. So although a kitten is much easier than a puppy, it still does require some effort from their human family to make sure that they're doing things appropriately. As I mentioned with another animal, one of the things we hate to see are when animals are returned to us, and sometimes it's for training or behavior that could have maybe been remedied down the road and allowed the person to keep the cat, the dog, or whatever in their home. So it looks like while she was here, she did have a slight cold, so we treated her for a cold and she's better from that. Colds are common here at the shelter in our cat population, and the vehicle for transporting the germs is human. So we always encourage people, please sanitize your hands between cats that you touch, and it helps reduce the spread. So once again, her name's Snickers. We can see she's a playful little kitten, and she's looking for her next home to be in. Our last cat guest is a cat named Squirrel. She's 11 months old, and she is a great tan tabby, and I have to say her coloring is very unique, and she's a domestic long hair. The other thing I love about her is her name. Now, you have to know that when you adopt an animal from us, you don't have to keep the animal's name, and everybody has different feelings about names, so on and so forth, but I just think Squirrel fits her perfectly based on her color and her coat and everything else. She was given up by her owner because she was not getting along with another cat in the house. Now, some cats do prefer to be alone, while others just pick their friends more carefully. So I'm not saying she can't live with another cat, but she may just choose her friends a little more carefully than what another cat may. She may do better with a male cat as opposed to a female cat. So sometimes it's like people. Not everybody's going to get along with everybody else, but everybody can make friends. So cats can be very similar. We can see she's settling into Tammy's lap pretty nice. She's enjoying a good head scratching right now. And at 11 months old, she's still fairly a young cat. So she has a lot of years to live and a lot of love to give to her next family. So it looks like that they only owned her for 6 months, and they actually have her date of birth as being November 26, 2017. So she has a birthday coming up, and like I said, she's about 11 months old. When I'm looking at her profile here, it says we asked the question who the cat gets along with, and the previous owner did circle cats. So I wonder if that was a mistake, or maybe they had multiple cats and she just didn't get along with one cat. It looks like that she has lived with children. It says that she is fearful of dogs. So just like cats, every dog's going to be different. So you can have young, exuberant dogs, or you could have a laid-back, easygoing dog like Lila we saw earlier in the segment. So I think if it was the right dog, she might be all right with it. But at the same time, slow introduction is what we encourage with all animals, whether it is a cat or a dog. So that's a look at 5 of our adult cats. And that's the show for this week. And we appreciate you every week joining us for Pet Pals. It's a great way to get a small sampling of some of the animals that are here at the shelter. But as always, we encourage you to come in and visit with the animals in person. There's no better way to find out an animal's personality, if it's maybe compatible with your family, to learn a little bit more about it by looking at its medical and its profile history. So please do stop by the shelter and visit with some of our adoptable animals today.